Thutmose III has brought his army to the edge of the Megiddo plain, ready to smash the Canaanite coalition once and for all. But will his chariots be able to stand up against the might of the Syrian army? And can the Egyptian infantry stand firm against the Canaanite cavalry? Welcome back to the series Chariots of Egypt. It's me. Let the battle begin. As the sun beat down on the dusty plains of Megiddo, the Egyptian army, a force of over 6,000 chariots and 20,000 infantry, stood poised and ready to crush the Canaanite coalition. General Thutmose III, a master strategist, had planned this battle meticulously, ensuring every advantage was considered. The Egyptians were masters of war, and their organization was key to their victories. The charioteers, divided into two equal parts, would attack the flanks of the enemy, while the rest of the troops would press on toward the center, overwhelming the Canaanites with sheer force. Across the battlefield, the Canaanite coalition army, a patchwork force of various peoples united against the Egyptian threat, was readying itself for the coming storm. Among them were seasoned warriors from Syria, Galilee, and Canaan, each eager to prove their mettle against the mighty Egyptians. As the dust swirled and the heat shimmered in the distance, the first signs of movement appeared. The Egyptian chariots, drawn by powerful horses and manned by skilled drivers, surged forward like a pair of pincers, their bronze-tipped spears flashing in the sunlight as they charged into the enemy ranks. With precise movements, the charioteers veered to the right, exposing the Canaanite left flank to the full force of the Egyptian assault. The charioteers on the other side mirrored their movements, flanking the Canaanites on the opposite side, their war cries echoing across the battlefield. Meanwhile, the Egyptian infantry, disciplined and well-equipped, advanced in ranks, their shields forming a wall of protection as they moved forward. Their javelins and swords held high, ready to strike at the heart of the Canaanite resistance. The Canaanite army, taken aback by the ferocity and discipline of the Egyptian attack, struggled to form an effective defense. Despite their valiant efforts, the ranks were broken and the casualties mounted as the Egyptians pressed their attack. But still the battle raged on. The Canaanite warriors fought with the desperation of those who had nothing left to lose. Their arrows rained down on the Egyptians, finding their marks with deadly accuracy. For a moment, it seemed as though the tide of battle might turn. Yet Thutmose III, cool and collected, rallied his troops, urging them onward to victory. He knew the importance of swift maneuver and exploited the gaps in the Canaanite lines, sending his elite troops to exploit these openings. The Egyptians, rejuvenated by their leader's words, surged forward with renewed vigor. They swept through the Canaanite ranks, their discipline and coordination allowing them to move with lethal efficiency. As the battle reached its climax, the Canaanite forces began to falter. Their ranks, already stretched thin, were now crumbling under the relentless pressure. Fear, like a contagion, spread through their ranks. One by one, the Canaanite warriors dropped their weapons, falling victim to the superior Egyptian might. With their army in disarray, the Canaanite commanders knew retreat was their only option. They sounded the retreat, hoping to save their lives and regroup another day, but it was too late. The Egyptians, energized by their imminent victory, pressed their attack relentlessly. The Canaanite soldiers fled, abandoning their chariots and equipment in their haste to escape. It was a complete rout. The Egyptians, masters of their fate, had won a decisive victory. The episode then concludes with the Egyptian soldiers beginning to gather the copious amounts of plunder left behind by the fleeing Canaanite army. Thutmose III watches his men take the spoils, but his gaze is distant, already planning for his next campaign. However, the episode ends on a cautionary note as he reminds his men not to indulge too much in the spoils, lest they, too, abandon their posts and lose the fruits of their victory. The camera pans away, leaving the viewer to ponder the fleeting nature of victory and the importance of constant vigilance. And that's the end of episode 3. Don't forget to support us if you want more episodes, and thanks for watching.